Good night. Good night again, everyone. Thank you for spending your Monday night with us. The St. Kitts and Nevis Medical and Dental Association with another HealthWise show. I'm your host, filling in for Dr. Woodley tonight, Dr. Monique Lescott. I have an exciting topic that I know garners a mix of emotions in some people. On my immediate right, I have Nurse Irish, who I will let her introduce herself in a minute. And then on my left, I have Dr. Charles Arrey. I said that right? Dr. Charles Arrey, Doctor of Public Health, okay? And he is here with PAHO, and he is going to give us a very informative presentation on vaccinations and the benefits of immunizations, okay? So without any further ado, I will let, I guess, Nurse Irish, she can go first. She can let you guys know what her role here is in the Federation.
Good night, everyone. I am Davida Irish. I am the EPI manager, that's Expanded Program and Immunization, and I'm also the coordinator of Community Nursing Services. Thank you.
Okay, and then we are going to have Dr. Charles Arrey. He'll introduce himself and he will let you guys know briefly a bit about his background as well.
Good night all. I am Dr. Charles Arrey, public health physician, consultant, PAHO consultant supporting immunization activities in some of the Caribbean countries. I'm here today to talk on vaccination, the benefits of vaccination and safety of vaccines. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a nice presentation that Dr. Arrey has so nicely prepared for us. And without further ado, I will let you get straight into it.
So this night we are going to discuss vaccinations. Recently we've observed that because of the lockdowns we had due to COVID, the coverage, immunization coverage has reduced, and we need to reawaken the spirit of the community to come back to health facilities for immunization. So the presentation today is about vaccination.
Okay.
The two words, vaccination and immunization, we use them interchangeably, but they mean different things. Vaccination is the most common means of immunization, whereas immunization is the process of stimulating or preparing the body to fight off diseases.
Not to cross you, you mentioned that the immunization coverage has reduced significantly after the pandemic. Do you have any hypothesis, you know why?
During the pandemic, because of the lockdowns and restrictions that we had globally, many persons did not go to the health facilities. You have, well, the perceptions are different. There are those with high risk perception who were overcautious.
Okay.
And were afraid to go to the facility because COVID
it's now contaminated.
It's now contaminated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So then I know it's a requirement here on the island for the children. They have to be immunized and vaccinated. So if the parents are not taking them to have that done, is that posing a problem with the education of these children? Are the parents keeping them home now because of that? Maybe?
That I think somebody from the minister, Dr. Irish, can explain better.
No, for us, one of our greatest, when it comes to our percentage being dropped, we would say here on Island it was because of the COVID. From the time we introduced the COVID vaccine, people became scared and started to hesitate to take the vaccine.
Even for the regular immunization?
Even for the regular. You would go give the vaccine and they would say, I hope you ain't giving me COVID vaccine. They were coming to take the vaccine long before COVID. But since COVID came up, it was always, it's COVID vaccine, you sure ain't COVID vaccine?
Really?
So that causes our vaccine percentage to drop a bit.
I didn't know. So then what's the recourse? Because like I said, I know it's a requirement that these kids have to be immunized. So are they sending them to school without the immunizations done?
Well, we are trying. Right now we are doing what we call mop-up. Like we actually go to them one-on-one, speak to the parents, going to the schools, speaking at PTA meetings. Because we have to find ways to get all of our children immunized. And if not all, at least over 95% with all coverage.
So this is a community outreach initiative to alleviate or try to stem that problem that we're having.
Yes.
Okay. And do you find we're seeing any headway with this?
Yes. And over the next couple of months, we're going to also increase. We are planning to do a island-wide mop-up. We are planning to go out into communities, go out into the churches. We are going everywhere we can because we need to get extensive program. So we have to appeal to the general public to cooperate and to come out and support. We'll be back on this show.
Okay, interesting. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Okay. I did not know. I'm learning as well.
It's a part of it.
Okay, so we can continue?
Yeah, we continue.
Thank you. We're straight.
So, we also, there are terms we talk of booster doses. These are extra doses that we give to boost the immunity. Now, the immunization schedule we have at birth, we give BCG, which protects against tuberculosis, and hepatitis B vaccine. Hepatitis B, the complications when you are infected with, one of the complications of hepatitis B is cancer of the liver. So we start protecting humans as from birth. Then the first year of life, less than 12 months, the periodicity of administration of vaccines is 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months, where we give different vaccines. Penta, it's a 5-in-1 vaccine, which prevents against diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, Haemophilus influenza, and hepatitis B again. Then we give polio vaccines. In the second year of life, we still give vaccine that contains diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, then polio, and measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. So the calendar is there. Then at grade 6 adolescents, we give the vaccine against human papillomavirus and polio. So we have a schedule in all our health facilities, which we follow.
Okay, so vaccines are really nothing new, basically. As even up until a child is born, like a newborn baby, out of the womb, they're vaccinated. So there's no need for the hesitancy, later on, because the child would have already been vaccinated even before they leave the hospital.
Even before the child leaves the womb, the child has come in contact with vaccines, because we do maternal vaccination of mothers with anti-tetanus vaccine during ANC. So this anti-tetanus vaccine protects both the mother and the unborn baby.
Okay, awesome.
So Still at the level of the health facility, every child who attends the health facility for immunization has a home-based record where the vaccines the child receives is registered. We are calling on the caregivers, the parents, to jealously keep this home-based vaccination record the same way they keep the child's birth certificate, because this record is very important and should be carried along anytime the parent travels with the child. And of recent, we've realized that many parents are coming back to the health facility because their children want to have had admissions in schools overseas, and some of these schools demand the immunization records. So we advise them to keep these records safely because it's very important. It's also very important when you go for consultations for other things, because especially in the pediatric unit, pediatricians are very interested in knowing the immunization status
and
of
many
children.
times, sometimes I find in the clinics, even if you were to ask the parent, like verbally, sometimes they don't remember the exact information, even if they try to remember it. So it's much better to have the accuracy of the document on hand for the physician or any other quality care facility worker that you might need to admit your child to.
Good.
Okay.
So the health workers, we also advise health workers to update immunization documents and data collecting tools like immunization registers, because we need them for statistics. We also need them to, especially in times of adverse events following immunization, we want to know the vaccine, the batch number of the vaccine a child received, if at all the child reacted to the vaccine.
Okay.
And we also call on parents to respect appointments, because in the home-based records, we put the dates for the next appointment. So
not to miss the appointed date of the next dose or the next vaccine.
That is it.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like helping your child to reach the milestone, so you have to keep it up to date.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So why is it important to immunize children? To protect them from dangerous childhood diseases and their complications. What are some of the complications of diseases that can be prevented with vaccines? They include paralysis. Poliomyelitis is a debilitating disease that affects the limbs, either upper or lower limbs. And if we look at the Caribbean, one of the characteristics of the Caribbean is athletics. Usain Bolt, that's a name I knew far away from Africa. And it will be our joy to have many Usain Bolt in the Caribbean. So we ask parents not to allow children to get paralysis.
Okay.
These children, I'm sure they admire athletes and will not want to get disabilities which will prevent them from becoming stars.
Perhaps maybe in our country we're a bit lackadaisical because we have not suffered the backlash yet of not vaccinating. Like maybe persons from previous generations would have witnessed the polio pandemic, where they saw people suffering. So they would have maybe been more open to taking these vaccines. But now I guess we are a bit more lax because we have not in our lifetime seen the effects of not having access to or not taking these vaccines. But if we continue like this, I suppose in due time we will there will come a time when we will witness what our parents or generations past has witnessed. It was not a pretty sight. Many lost loved ones, and many children suffered, and many mothers suffered. So we don't want to go down that path if we can prevent it.
Yeah, Dr. Lescott, I think a quick reminder to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is that polio recently
has reemerged.
Yes. It was just next door in New York.
I've heard of polio, and I think it was measles at one point.
Yeah.
A few, like 2 years ago, it was measles.
Yes, 2021, they had a breakout of measles in the US.
And let me tell you guys, having that, when you're pregnant, having a risk of that, well, you don't want that. Nurse Irish maybe can tell you what the fallout of having measles during a pregnancy or having a measles outbreak. Or I think later down in the slides we have some examples and side effects of some of these issues.
And it goes back to the point you just make, Dr. Lescott, is that we, the younger generation, we have not seen any breakouts. We have not seen any effects of like measles, mumps, rubella, polio. So we can only hear it from our grandparents. So for us, it's not happening in St. Kitts. But it only take one case.
True.
And we have tourism, which is our main industry, and we have people coming in to our shores. So we still have to,
keep
be mindful.
Our lifeline up. I don't think we want to have another state of emergency and any lockdowns and these sort of things. We're trying our best to avoid going down that road again. I guess we can continue with the presentation.
So, another complication of measles, we're talking of measles, is blindness. And deafness. Yeah, it can destroy the inner ear. It can also result to mental disability.
Meaning cognitive function, this is going to be, the child will be slow to learn, and then they will probably be remedial in their lessons and these things.
All that. Congenital rubella syndrome is a complication of
the fetus.
Rubella, which can result to fetal malformation. Imagine a young woman who is pregnant and gets contaminated with rubella. It can result to her giving birth to a child that is malformed. Imagine a young couple with a malformed baby, the stress on the family, the stress on the community, and also human papilloma virus.
That will cause the cause of the cervical cancer.
Cervical cancers, yeah, and this is transmitted sexually. We have vaccines. Then we've talked of hepatitis B. A complication will be cancer of the liver. And the greatest of all complications, which nobody wants to happen, is death. But these are diseases which are vaccine preventable, and to the best of my knowledge, the time I've spent in St. Kitts and Nevis, vaccines are free.
It's not free in your country?
It's free all over.
Okay.
Some people might think that they will not want to get vaccinated because maybe they will ask for
money.
No, vaccines are free. Well, it's the duty of the government to take care of her people.
Yes.
So government has played her part, and it's left for us to get the vaccines.
So then, quick question: since we saw there was a decline in persons willing to take the immunizations, I guess for their children, how much do you estimate was the decline? Do you estimate it was a 30% drop?
No. We don't have that.
We don't have that data.
Drop, like 6%.
Okay.
Because we usually have our coverage of 95% and above. So we presently at 95 for some, but some which 94, and we have HPV, which is down to 64%. Normally our HPV is like 84%, but that's down. And one of the greatest challenge with the HPV, that at the same time the grade 6, because it's given to grade 6 children, boys and girls. At the same time we were giving HPV, the COVID was introduced into the 12 to 17-year-olds. So that was the challenge at the point. So we had, yes.
Okay.
So even though we tell the parents, no, we are not giving them COVID vaccine, we are giving them the HPV, they still have this fear. Some of them would come and we actually have to show them the vial to show them it's HPV, see it there. They still had the fear there, so.
So then how long would you estimate that this problem began? Like, when did you guys started seeing signs of the hesitancy
For
in
the
public?
HPV, it started in 2021 and last year, 2022. But our goal is to get it back up this year for 2023.
Okay, interesting.
If you permit, Doctor.
Sure.
The problem with low coverage is this: when the coverage is reducing, the number of susceptibles increases. And there will become a time when the number of susceptibles will reach a birth cohort, and you hear of an outbreak.
Yes.
Which is what
That's what
are
we're trying to avoid.
prevent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be very important for the general public to really get on board and support the Ministry of Health in their attempts at preventing an outbreak, because as you said, it only is a matter of time. It's like a ticking time bomb basically, and it's only a matter of time before we reach our plateau, and then there's an outbreak, there's a threat, a real threat of a real outbreak on our hands, and I know the majority of the solving of that problem would fall on nurses' Irish hands and shoulders. So we're trying to alleviate the strain on our health system, and we're already under strained conditions in some cases. I guess we can continue.
Well, this, like you said, because maybe people are still hesitant to get vaccinated because they've not seen cases of some of these complications. I think one of the suggestions I am making is that together with the ministry, we print some of these posters showing complications of some of the vaccine preventable diseases. If people see cases of polio, children with polio, pictures of children, not drawings, I think they will.
There are documentaries as well. I've seen some it wasn't set in the Caribbean, but there was an outbreak. I think it was in Europe or the UK. They suffered greatly over there as well when the polio, first went global, and it wasn't pretty at all. It was a severe underdevelopment of the limbs, and just a lot of persons couldn't be mobile, and it was a strain on especially the more persons living below the poverty line. It was a real strain to have a disabled child or children in some cases. I'm not sure if persons out in YouTube or TV land can see the pictures and illustrations that I'm seeing right now, but for third world, I don't like using that word, but for want of a better term, for third world countries, this could be a real strain on already impoverished families.
That is it. So this is.
So we have some complications of measles. I'll let the doctor explain the corneal scarring. I suppose that looks very painful.
Very painful, really. Small, beautiful girl. The eye, she's blind. You see the eye, that should be the right eye.
So it's the scarring of the corneal that's going to cause the eventual blindness of the person. And so it's because of a deficiency in vitamin A?
No, during the management, I don't know, well, we've had cases when we carry out SIs, supplementary immunization activities for measles, we usually add vitamin A. And in the management of measles also, we include vitamin A to boost the immunity. We also give antibiotherapy because one of the complications of measles too is pneumonia. So we do that.
So quick question, Nurse Irish, when we have the mop-up drive, I have a few questions about that. How long would we plan to do this program? Do you guys have like a plan for the next 2 or 3 years, or this is just something to try to get the numbers rolling until you get it to where you want to be?
No, it's just because for our routine vaccines is not that bad. As I said, we like at 94%, we usually, well, all countries' goal is to reach 95 and above. So we at 94 for 2 of our routine vaccines. So that's the goal. But one of our main goal is for the HPV.
The HPV is the
HPV vaccine.
Thing.
Yes.
That's the one that, so why do you think they don't mind taking the other vaccines, but they're hesitant about HPV? Did they hear something adverse about HPV that I didn't hear about?
Not to my knowledge.
There has been several reasons. One she cited when we talked of COVID. Most of the parents, when they come who refuse the vaccines, there are different reasons why they refuse. Some say it's COVID vaccine we are giving children. I think we are very transparent as health workers. You have a right to see. It's like a prescription. Mm-hmm. The doctor makes a prescription for a medication, and you are shown the prescription. Mm-hmm. If you want to see, for those who can read and write, you see the vial, the name written on the vial, batch number, expiry date, all these things are taken into consideration. But you still have parents who refuse for religious reasons and mm-hmm. other reasons. It's not only HPV that they are refusing, even the measles vaccine.
So can we then make it a family event? Are we going to have the kids come out with their parents on these mop-up drives and the parent, because if they're wanting to actually see what is being given to these children, then they're gonna, I guess, want to be present?
Maybe
yes, the parents have to
before she answers, I want to tell the community that we belong to the same community. Mm-hmm. We are not, like they say in French, extraterrestrials. We are not coming from a different world. We are members of the same community.
So we're trying to help our own.
We are trying to help our own community.
Mm-hmm. We're not trying to harm anyone.
We're not trying to harm anyone.
Give you any secret, unknown vaccine. We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eye.
That is it.
Maybe there's some sort of distrust.
Yes,
yeah.
I think, yes. So the goal, one of the goals is to get back the trust.
The community trust.
Yes, the community trust, because I think some barriers were broken down.
That's it.
So that's one of the goal.
Okay, so we're hoping that the general public, we're appealing to you guys. We just want to help our own, as Dr. Arrey just stated. We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eye or give any medications that are not supposed to be given, any poisons, any wrong vaccinations. We're not trying to mislabel anything and give the children, our future generation, anything that is poisonous to their system or anything underhanded that's unknown to the parents. So we're hoping and we're asking for your support and encouragement as we try to stave off a possible issue or epidemic in our own little borders here. Can we continue? So we have, what's that? Peeling of the skin and the respiratory gastrointestinal tract. That's also a complication of measles. Yeah. So this will present as like a GI infection or something?
Yeah.
With the peeling.
Respiratory tract infection, gastrointestinal tract infections also. Yeah, because of the measles. Those are the complications of measles. Encephalitis, that is the brain, is also involved.
So this would have diminished cognitive function.
That is it. So it's
a chronic disability basically over a long period of time.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is congenital rubella syndrome, which I said is due to infection, rubella infection, and a pregnant mother might end up having a child with congenital rubella syndrome, or some with malformation at times. So imagine a young woman who is taking care of children in a daycare or teaching in a kindergarten, or a young nurse working in a hospital managing children, whom the parents have refused vaccination, and she becomes contaminated. Just imagine that. Somebody who is there working for the community to make sure people are in good health, and she herself falls in the trap of bad health because some people refuse children to be vaccinated.
So this is about the dreaded herd immunity that everyone...
Yep.
Yeah.
We need to vaccinate a huge population to get the herd immunity.
I think that's one of the misconceptions of persons, right? I think they misunderstood what herd immunity really is or what it means. Is that something that you care to disambiguate now, or
well,
is that a topic for another time?
It will be a topic for another time.
It's quite a wide topic.
Let's make some small clarifications about herd immunity. I like using the analogy of moving about with rich people. If I am always in company of the two of you who are rich, well, I'm just using just an example. And I pray you people end up being rich. If every day they see me in your company, we go to the best restaurants, we are in the best snacks, getting the best rum from Navy's, from St. Kitts and Navy's. So the impression people who know me is, the impression people have about me is that I'm also rich because they see me in the circles of rich people.
So that's how herd immunity basically works.
So we want many people to be vaccinated so that if we have a small population which is not vaccinated, at least because we have 95% of the population that is vaccinated, they protect that small population. But now what is happening? Everybody is hoping that
their own immunity.
If I am not vaccinated, you will be vaccinated, she will be vaccinated. You are also hoping that Charles will be vaccinated, Irish will be vaccinated. She too is hoping that if you are vaccinated and I am vaccinated, she will be covered. And finally, nobody is vaccinated and will hardly reach the herd immunity. So it should be a decision, everyone's decision, to make sure that the children are vaccinated so that everybody is covered. Vaccination did not begin today.
That's true.
Yeah, some of us, well, if for those who know, they will know. This is the scar. It's not because I was stubborn. This is a vaccination scar. And I'm still alive. I think it's because of the vaccinations I had.
That's why you're still alive?
That I'm still alive. I know there are other factors that contribute to death, but I think vaccination has protected me a lot. And to tell the community that my parents were not educated, they didn't go to school, but they knew this is a legacy they've left to bring up healthy children, always taking us to the health center for immunization. I'm very troubled today that with the level of education most of us have attained, we are instead using it against our own health, which is very costly.
Agreed. Okay.
And we still have to be careful about herd immunity at the same time, because yes, we could have, example, 95% of person covered with vaccine, but the 5%, one person out of that 5% can catch, for example, measles.
Yeah.
And then that can spread to the 5% that is not covered. So we still, even though we brag about herd immunity, we still have to be careful when we speak about herd immunity. We need everybody covered, everyone.
So that would be the aim of the mop-up drive?
Yes.
So the mop-up drive will be covering all vaccines?
All vaccines. We're going to all vaccines.
So is this like an amnesty something? Like if you didn't do it before, you can come now and do it? Type of
We
thing?
always
or is it
open.
That we're inviting only a certain demographic?
No.
Is it everybody?
No, everyone. Because we always open. Yes, we want to make sure that our children between 0 to 5 are fully covered. But any adults out in the community who are not sure about the vaccine status can go to the health center. If you're over, say, 40 and you can't remember what health center you went to, ask your parent and go to the health center and ask to see your vaccination card. You want to know your status. You want to get up to date.
So we're basically encouraging persons to be vaccinated all throughout their lives. I know some persons, their vaccination stop at 5th form when they graduate. So after that, I don't think they get vaccinated again.
After that, you need to cover yourself for 10 years. Every 10 years, you need to get a booster.
How many
which
of you
we
out there
don't
do 10 years, every 10 years? I don't think the public
We
knows
don't.
they're supposed to.
I think most personally is only when they're going in after university, and university tell them they need to get the vaccine status up to date, because they always ask for your vaccine status. That's when person would come and get the extra. And for example, for yellow fever, when they're traveling to a country, that's when they take the yellow fever.
Interesting. So then what vaccines do you suggest adults take in after 5th form? Like,
we need to make sure that we are up to date. We need to make sure that we had 2 MMR throughout our life, because 2 MMR covers you for life. We need to make sure we had our Hep B, and we need to take booster, especially person that in the medical field, person that do domestic cleaning.
But the Hep B is every 5 years?
Every 10 years.
Every 10 years.
And for DT, we need to make sure, like farmers, because we know tetanus is in the stool of animals, and we had a tetanus drive. We went to the agriculture, agriculture days, and we had
there was for
the fear.
Okay.
Yes, and we
so
try
for the farmers and everybody that works with animals and what's not. Okay.
We try to educate them as much as possible, and who volunteer to take the vaccine we give. So we always try to encourage person to come and take the vaccine just to make sure they are covered, because you never know.
Okay. That's useful information that I hope everyone in YouTube, TV, and any other means who are viewing this material, I hope you guys make use of the timely information. Can we continue? I think we'll take one more slide before we have a small break.
So we talked of cancer of the cervix, which is a complication of infection due to human papilloma virus. The cervix is the gateway into the womb.
I think we missed out an important part of the first slide. Did we mention that the babies, if they contract rubella, they'll be shedding, and so it's that increased risk of also spreading to members of the household, which is a melting, that's a ticking time bomb as well.
Yep.
And it's a 90% risk during your first trimester, which is a really, really high risk.
Yes.
A really high risk. So that was something that I really needed to mention. So sorry to cut you off.
Thank you. No, it's okay.
We can continue.
So I was saying the cancer of the cervix is one of the complications of infection due to human papilloma virus. And I was trying to describe or position the cervix. I said the cervix is the gateway into the womb, and the womb is the home for the baby when a woman is pregnant. This is also vaccine preventable. We know the cost of treating cancers, and we don't want to put our daughters, our sisters, our mothers and wives in terrible situations which we could have prevented. Let's not be penny wise and pound foolish. Tetanus, we've just been talking of tetanus. It affects both children, especially children of mothers who did not attend antenatal clinic. There are other conditions, place of birth. If usually when we receive children presenting with signs and symptoms of neonatal tetanus, we want to know if the mother attended antenatal clinic, and if she did she receive the anti-tetanus shot? The next question will be place of delivery. Where did the delivery take place?
Is it a sanitation issue?
Sanitation issue. Did it take place at home, in a health facility? If it took place at home, who conducted the delivery at home? In some societies, we have traditional birth attendants. Today we call them traditional birth companions because we encourage them. There are some societies where some of the women, because of tradition and culture, will prefer certain persons to conduct their deliveries. In some villages, they will tell you, no, they believe in this person who has been doing it, even though the person has never been trained. These are things which are still happening. So we call them, excuse me, traditional birth companions because we want them to accompany the mothers and the babies to the health facilities postpartum. So the mothers.
So we educate them as well.
We educate them as well. We make them partners. Today we don't shun people. We make them partners because if you make them partners, if you partnership with the community, health outcomes will be better. So if the delivery was conducted at home, we want to know what whoever conducted the delivery at home used in sectioning the umbilical cord. If the delivery took place in a health facility, it becomes very serious because the minister can visit your health facility. It shows you have problems of hygiene and sanitation. We want to know whether how you sterilize equipment, whether you have an autoclave, or all this. The state of hygiene of the labor room, the state of hygiene of the delivery room, all that. So. And normally we should always, when we have a case of, another thing that can cause us to think of neonatal tetanus is neonatal death in the community. A newborn dies in the community, we want to know the cause of death. And we still ask the same question. Did the mother attend ANC? Where was delivery conducted and things like that?
But if the vaccines are free, what do you think is deterring people still? Because it's no charge. If it's disseminated in all of the health centers and what's not, persons, I guess it's just a general trust issue because it's free, and in most countries it's not mandatory. It's not enforced by government, right? It's not.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, I think most households are a few minutes to health facilities.
Yes.
But in some other countries, it's not the same. You have had to reach areas where communities are a bit far away from health facilities. And secondly, people have competing priorities. The mother might prefer to go to the farm. A pregnant mother might prefer going to the farm than going to the health facility. It all centers around education, health education.
So we have it very good here because then we don't have all of these restrictions and obstacles. We can walk to any health facility once we're in any part, any village. Sometimes even if you're not close to a village, if you walk long enough,
you'll get to a
health facility.
So
it's not like other places.
The people of St. Kitts and Nevis should take advantage of the fact that they have everything close to their bedrooms.
But even so, now it's close to our bedrooms, but now our bedrooms are still coming to our bedrooms because Nurse Irish is saying we have this wonderful mop-up drive. So now the members of the community, the nurses are coming out to you. You don't have to come to the health facility when they're doing this particular drive. I guess we're going to have adequate promotions, and the
Yes.
radio media
Yes.
would let the public know when these drives are being done. So the nurses now are coming out into the community to encourage vaccinations and immunizations in the public. So it's for you guys out in the community to support. Okay, I guess we can take a small break. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
What did you mean earlier about climate change, Mom?
Well, when I was your age, I remember beautiful coral reefs and healthy beaches. The summers weren't as hot as they are right now, and the rainy season meant that it only rained when it was supposed to.
And then what happened?
The weather just started to change, and storms got worse. Coral reefs started to die because the ocean was getting too warm, and crops started to die because there was not much rain. You know, we realized as adults that we were doing something that was causing this.
What were you all doing?
The same thing we're doing now, not using clean, renewable energy, chopping down too many trees, and even polluting the air with gases such as the gases emitted from our cars when we drive around.
We need some help before it's too late, Mom.
We can't let it get worse.
What can I do? We can raise our voices.
With 35 million dreams, aspirations, and futures at risk in Carry Forum, we need your voice in our story against climate change. Acknowledge, commit, act. This message is brought to you by the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center under the Intra-ACP Global Climate Change Alliance Plus program and is funded by the European Union.
It's a sore throat. I'll write a prescription and see the nurse regarding the MMR vaccine.
I heard on social media that the COVID-19 vaccine came in a container with the MMR label on it.
Measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is in the vial, no other.
True?
We can't betray our parents' trust. St. Kitts and Nevis has always had an impressive immunization history.
But these diseases aren't around now.
Yes, our borders are open to all kinds of diseases that negatively affect our children and elders.
I never thought about that.
Today, you have a choice whether you get vaccinated. So, you want to continue?
Yes, doctor.
I want to be protected.
Check your doctor or the Ministry of Health to get the information on immunization against childhood diseases, including HPV and polio, and COVID-19 vaccine for elderly persons and persons living with non-communicable diseases.
It's time that we realize that we must work together to thrive. As we know it, the sky and below it. Could I never have more wonder? Yeah, with life and all you see and the climate's changing. But hope is remaining. And we can't ignore the future. It depends on you and me. One chance, all that we got. One voice, together we stand. Take care, the world where we live. Permite a todos vivir. Tomamos la oportunidad para guardar la humanidad. And I must leave no one behind because we are one climate, one Caribbean. One climate, one Caribbean.
Thank you for stopping by again. Good night again. My name is Dr. Lescott. Thanks for joining us at our monthly HealthWise show with, we have Dr. Charles Arrey and Nurse Davida Irish. So we were having a discussion, a very informative discussion about the benefits of vaccinations and immunizations for those of you just joining us. So we'd like to continue our presentation with Dr. Arrey.
So, before we went on break, we were talking about cervical cancer as a complication of HPV. HPV also affects men, and we have complications like penile cancer and cancer of the throat. So, what are the benefits of vaccination and immunization? Vaccination saves life. I think one of the most successful stories of immunization is the eradication of smallpox. For those of you who are interested in history, smallpox was a deadly disease that was declared eradicated in 1980. I think that is the biggest success story of immunization. Polio, wild polio virus has been eliminated in most countries except in Afghanistan and Pakistan, where we still have wild polio virus type 1.
Is it because of the same issues? They are the persons, they don't want to be immunized?
No, the trouble, one of the problems which affect the immunization programs, conflict. If you look at these countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and he who says conflict says disorder. If there is, say, a war today.
But it's logical. A pregnant woman would not be outside when it's bombing, and she's going to stay home and try to protect herself and her family. Okay. So I understand that. I didn't think of that at all. Okay. So we continue.
So, immunization saves life. We've talked of polio, many dangerous diseases. We've talked of
rubella, measles,
smallpox, which has been eradicated. Vaccines prevent against many dangerous diseases. Immunization also protects the next generation. We've talked of, for example, TT, anti-tetanus vaccines, which are given to mothers during pregnancy. It protects the unborn baby from contracting tetanus. We've talked polio. We are protecting a generation without disabilities. Mother-to-child transmission of rubella can be prevented with vaccines.
Was there a vaccine for the prevention of the vertical transmission of herpes? Was there a vaccine for the vertical transmission of herpes as well? No time? No.
So, next. So, say neonatal tetanus could be prevented if all pregnant women are immunized. Immunization saves money. That one is clear. When children, imagine the cost of hospitalization because of a disease you could prevent. Just imagine the time you spend in the hospital because a child is sick and hospitalized.
That's true.
Are you sure if the child has to spend 2 weeks, a month in the hospital, are you sure your employer will give you that time to stay in the hospital? If you had your own private business, say you're a sole proprietor, it means your shop will be closed because you can't attend to the shop and attend to your child at the same time. We've talked of disabilities which could be prevented with immunization, disabilities as a result of measles, disability as a result of polio, for example. Immunization protects you, your friends and family. We saw that recently with COVID vaccine. So what about side effects? Do the vaccines have side effects? Yes, vaccines, like all other medications, have side effects. The side effects of vaccines are mild. They are very rare, serious, severe adverse events which occur. We want to tell members of the community, the clients, the caregivers, report your own side effect. When you receive a vaccine or a medication, report any reaction you have.
Can I interject here?
Yep.
Nurse Irish, can you alert the general public as to how they can go about reporting such? Have you had many reports of any complaints of people?
No. So far, we never had, well, since I can recall, we never had a case of ISAVI since, but if, just in case you feel like your child get a vaccine and there are side effects, mild side effects like fever, you expect, depends on the vaccine, the child may or may not have a fever. So we advise the parents about the fever. Also the BCG, we know you're going to have a scar on your hand, you're going to get inflammation. We advise parents not to not to put nothing on it, no antibiotics, nothing, just leave it. It'll go down after a few days. Because some parents tend to say, the vaccine, do this, but that's a natural part for the vaccine, for the BCG vaccine, the scar on your hands. Some children don't get it, but majority do get it. The fever after some vaccine, that's normal. So if you have anything outside of fever, we advise parents to go back to the health center that their child received the vaccine and speak to the nurse there, so the nurse can monitor the child and take all the necessary information that we will need to report an ISAVI.
And so everything is going to be well documented and recorded.
Yes.
Because that was one of our highlights earlier in the presentation, is to have vaccination records well kept, and that will be both on the end of the parents and the institution which issue the vaccines. So I'll let Dr. Charles continue.
So I was saying, if you have a side effect, effect following the administration of a vaccine, please report to your healthcare provider.
Okay. So I think this is the end of our presentation. We already outlined the benefits of the immunizations. So at this point in time, we're going to open up the phone lines to the general public out there in YouTube land, any persons in TV land, anyone on the radio. We have some telephone numbers here for you. We have the overseas line, which is 1-239-645-4500. The landline, the local landline, will be 465-2666. And the local cell would be 662-8674 or 767-4765. So we'll wait patiently to hear any feedback or any questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions or concerns. Okay, so our lines are a bit quiet tonight. So without any further hesitation, I would like to extend heartfelt and profound thanks to Dr. Charles Arrey. He is a visitor here with PAHO, and we are very, very grateful to have had him here to speak with us and to inform the general public of this vital information and moving forward. We have Nurse Davida Irish. We extend heartfelt thanks as well for having her here to be a support to Dr. Arrey and to also let the general public know of this particular mop-up health initiative and this health drive by the Ministry of Health to improve our vaccination intake of the general public. And we really would like and encourage the support of you guys out there in the community, and to just give the cooperation to the nurses and other health facilitators that are trying to alleviate the problem. We thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.
He wasn't paying attention.
You finished?